Twilight. The Twilight Saga hash won by Stephenie Meyer. New beginnings. As the plane descended, the vibrant hues of Phoenix blurred into a watercolor memory, and the looming grayness of Forks emerged like a scene from an old film. A heavy sigh escaped me. Not just air, but the weight of my former life, leaving in a breath. The sun's warmth lingered on my skin, a stark contrast to the chill that awaited me. Renee's laughter, once the soundtrack of our home, now echoed in my mind, replaced by the steady thrum of rain against the aircraft. Charlie's presence at the airport was a beacon of familiarity, yet the years had redrawn the father I knew. Lines of time etched into his face and silver strands wove through his hair. His embrace was a testament to the years apart, a mix of awkwardness and affection. "Hey, kiddo, welcome to Forks," he said, his voice a blend of cheer and uncertainty. The drive through Forks was a sensory journey from the past to the present. The rain played a relentless symphony on the car roof, while the scent of wet earth and pine seeped through the windows. Each house we passed was a clone of the next, their sameness a stark departure from the unique vibrancy of Phoenix homes. Our house, with its asymmetrical porch and the lawn that struggled for life, stood as a metaphor for my new reality, unfamiliar and unpolished. It was here in this unassuming structure that I would carve out a space for myself. The transition to Forks High School was a jolt to my system. The building was intimate compared to the sprawling campuses I was used to, and the students were an interconnected web I had yet to be a part of. Mrs. Cope's voice was a warm lighthouse in the fog of new faces. "So, how do you like Forks so far?" she inquired, her tone a blend of curiosity and welcome. "It's different," I managed, my response a careful dance around the truth. Her laughter was a bright note in the muted atmosphere. "Well, it takes some getting used to, but we're a friendly bunch here. You'll fit right in." The corridors of Forks High were a stage, and I, an unwilling actress under a spotlight. Jessica's voice, a lifeline in the sea of murmurs, was tinged with the excitement of novelty. "I'm Jessica," she said, her words a rapid stream of enthusiasm and warmth. Lunch brought a moment of respite, and yet the Cullen family commanded my attention from their secluded corner. They were a portrait of otherworldly beauty, each more striking than the last. The boy with the golden hair, his gaze intense and unsettling, seemed to peer into the very core of me. "Who's that?" I whispered to Jessica, my curiosity piqued by their isolation. "Oh, that's the Cullen family," she replied, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. "They're kind of different." Their allure was magnetic, and I found myself ensnared by the mystery that surrounded them. As the golden-haired boy's eyes finally broke away, a sense of loss, inexplicable and profound, washed over me. The day's end found me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Forks, with its perpetual veil of rain and whispers of secrets, was a canvas of muted tones and hushed expectations. The rain, ever present, seemed to cleanse the slate of my past, offering a rhythm to my new life that was both haunting and hypnotic. As I stood there, the last student to leave the grounds, the realization settled in like the fog that clung to the treetops. Forks was now my home, a place of reinvention amidst the shadows and silence. And somewhere within its enigmatic embrace, I would find a way to belong, to weave myself into the fabric of this close-knit community. For now, at least, I was here, where my story would unfold, where my journey would continue, under the watchful eyes of the Cullens and the whispering pines. The mysterious Cullens. Bella was Edward's lab partner for the day, offering her a chance to learn more about him. She had been drawn to him and his family from the start. Their beauty and poise set them apart from everyone else. "Hey, Edward," Bella said, trying to sound casual as she approached his table. Edward looked up, his golden eyes locking with hers. "Hello, Bella," he replied, his voice smooth and even. Ready for the lab? Bella nodded, feeling a flutter in her stomach. Yeah, let's get started. They worked in silence for a while, focusing on their measurements and data recording. Bella ventured to ask, "So, your family? They're all adopted?" Edward paused, his eyes flickering with a hint of surprise. "Yes," he said slowly. "Carlisle and Esme have been very generous." Not wanting to let the opportunity pass, Bella continued. "And Jasper and Rosalie are twins, right?" A half-smile played on Edward's lips. "Yes, they are. And Alice and Emmett, they're also part of our family." Intrigued, Bella pressed further. "It must be fascinating, all of you living together. How did that come about?" Edward hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "It's a long story and not easily explained, but yes, it's interesting as you say." Bella sensed there was so much more to uncover about Edward and his family, but the bell rang, bringing their conversation to an abrupt end. As they parted ways, she felt a mix of frustration at the unresolved mystery and a growing intrigue that pulled her further into Edward Cullen's enigmatic world. A life-saving encounter. The icy air bit at Bella's cheeks as she trudged across the frost-covered parking lot, her mind filled with thoughts about Edward Cullen. Her new life in Forks had been dull until he came along. But today, Edward's usual spot by his car was empty, and an unsettling feeling settled in her stomach. As she neared her truck, a sudden screech of tires shattered the morning calm. Bella's heart raced. Time seemed to slow as she turned to see Tyler Crowley's van skidding on a patch of ice, heading straight for her. Panic rooted her to the spot, her breath caught in her throat. Then, in a blur of motion, Edward was there. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her away with impossible speed. The van's metal body whirled past, missing them by mere inches, crashing into the blacktop with a thunderous roar. "Are you all right?" Edward's voice was tense, his golden eyes searching hers intensely. "I think so," Bella stammered, still in shock. "How did you get here so fast?" Edward's jaw tightened, and for a moment, he looked like he might confess something monumental. But then he glanced away. "I was nearby," he said, but Bella heard the lie in his voice. The crowd swarmed around them, murmuring and gasping, but Bella could only hear the pounding of her own heart. Edward's arms remained around her, not just as a shield now, but as a barrier to the rest of the world. His touch was cold, yet it burned her skin. "Why did you do that?" Bella asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "For the same reason I wish I hadn't," Edward replied, his voice laced with torment that mirrored the conflict in his eyes. "I don't know how to stay away from you anymore." Bella wanted to reach out, to comfort him, but the fear in his eyes held her back. She remembered the warnings and the danger that seemed to cling to his presence. Yet, in this moment, all she felt was an overwhelming sense of safety and an inexplicable longing. As the ambulance arrived and the paramedics bustled around them, Edward gently released her, stepping back into the shadows. Bella watched him, her heart aching with gratitude and confusion. She knew that nothing in her life would ever be the same after this life-saving encounter. Unraveling secrets. The dim light of the kitchen cast long shadows across the room as Bella sat at the counter, her mind racing with 1,000 questions. Edward stood across from her, his expression unreadable in the low light. The silence between them was heavy. "Why did you save me?" Bella's voice was barely above a whisper. Edward hesitated, his eyes searching hers. "I don't know how to be anything other than what I am, Bella. And what I am is dangerous to you." Bella leaned forward, her curiosity overpowering her fear. "But you can read minds. You knew I was in trouble before it happened." "It's not as simple as that," Edward replied, his voice low. "I can't hear everyone everywhere. It's like being in a crowded place, a cacophony of voices. Only when I focus can I hear someone's thoughts, and even then, they have to be close. And my thoughts? Bella asked, her heart pounding. You're the exception. Your mind is silent to me. Bella's gaze drifted to the microwave clock, the numbers glowing softly. You said strange things about me, but you still don't know the truth. Bella's voice was steady, but her heart hammered in her chest. Tell me. Edward took a deep breath, his eyes never leaving hers. I'm a vampire, Bella. That's why I left, why I tried to stay away. I didn't want to put you in danger. Bella's eyes widened, and she leaned back, her hands gripping the edge of the counter. A vampire, she repeated, her voice shaking. But you're not like the vampires in stories. You don't drink human blood. Edward supplied a hint of bitterness in his voice. No, I don't. My family and we found another way, but that doesn't change what I am. I still have the strength, the speed, and yes, the thirst. Then why? Bella's voice was barely audible. Why didn't you hurt me? A pained expression crossed Edward's face. Because I couldn't, he said softly. From the moment I met you, I was drawn to you. Your mind, your scent, they called to something deep within me. I tried to resist, but the more I got to know you, the harder it became. And when you needed help, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Bella felt the gravity of Edward's confession, understanding the risks and the depth of his struggle. I see, she murmured, her resolve firm. Your secret is safe with me, and I'm ready to step into this new world by your side. Their shared resolve solidified their bond, a promise of unity in the face of the unknown. Into the sunlight. Bella couldn't stop thinking about Edward and the mysterious Cullen family. The more she learned about them, the more intrigued she became, especially after their lab partnership and conversations. There was something different about Edward, and she was determined to uncover his secrets. One day, Edward approached Bella with a hesitant look on his face. Bella, I want to show you something, but it's important that you keep an open mind, he said, his golden eyes piercing through her soul. It might be a bit intense. Bella's curiosity was piqued, and she readily agreed to join him on a hike, eager to discover what he wanted to reveal. As they ventured into the heart of the forest, Bella felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She trusted Edward, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something life-changing awaited her. The hike was exhilarating, and Bella found herself struggling to keep up with Edward's graceful strides. Along the way, he assisted her over rough terrain and engaged in light-hearted conversations to distract her from the physical demands of the journey. As they drew closer to their destination, Bella's anticipation grew. She remembered Edward's warning about keeping an open mind and wondered what she was about to encounter. Then they reached a clearing, and Bella's breath caught in her throat. Before her lay a breathtaking meadow bathed in warm sunlight. The golden rays illuminated the vibrant wildflowers, creating a magical atmosphere. The meadow was alive with the colors of lupines, poppies, and foxgloves, their hues ranging from the deepest purples to the brightest yellows. The air was filled with the sweet fragrance of honeysuckle and jasmine, and the gentle hum of bees and the soft chirping of birds provided a serene soundtrack to this hidden paradise. This is my meadow, Edward said softly, his eyes sparkling with a mixture of joy and sadness. I wanted to share it with you because it's a special place for me. Bella stepped into the sunlight, feeling its warmth on her skin. She turned to Edward, her eyes searching his perfect face. In the bright light of day, his beauty was even more striking. His skin sparkled like diamonds, and his eyes held a depth of emotion that took her breath away. You're beautiful, Bella whispered, unable to look away. Edward's expression softened, and he took a step towards her. You truly see me, Bella. Most humans are repelled by what they see in the sunlight, but you accept me as I am. In that moment, Bella understood the risks Edward had taken to bring her here. By exposing himself to the sunlight, he had made himself vulnerable, both physically and emotionally. It was a testament to the trust and connection they shared. They spent the afternoon in the meadow, talking and laughing as the sunlight danced around them. Bella felt a sense of peace and contentment in Edward's presence, despite the dangers that lurked in the shadows of their lives. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the meadow, Bella turned to Edward with a smile. "Today has been incredible, Edward. Thank you for sharing this place with me." He smiled back, his eyes shining with a mixture of love and determination. "You're welcome, Bella. Remember, no matter what challenges we face, I will always be by your side." Bella's heart swelled with gratitude and love for Edward. She knew that their journey together would be filled with obstacles, but in that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the meadow, she felt ready to face anything as long as they faced it together. As they prepared to leave, a shadow passed over the meadow, a subtle reminder of the precarious world they inhabited. Edward's gaze lingered on the horizon, a silent vow to protect Bella from the unseen threats that awaited them. Yet for now, they cherished the tranquility of the meadow and the deep connection they shared, a bond that would endure through the trials to come. Entering the vampire world. Bella's heart fluttered with a mix of anticipation and trepidation as she prepared to meet Edward's family. Despite her nerves, Edward's reassurance was a balm to her worries. "You look great, Bella," he said, his presence comforting her. She wanted everything to be perfect, not just her attire but the entire evening. As they arrived at the Cullen residence, Bella was enveloped in a warm welcome. The house, shrouded in the woods, held an enchanting mystery. Inside, the atmosphere was inviting, and the family's reception was heartfelt. Carlyle greeted her with a refined grace, and Esme's embrace was like that of a long-lost relative, making Bella feel instantly at home. The evening passed in a whirlwind of conversation and laughter. Bella was fascinated by the dynamics of this extraordinary family and their coexistence with the human world. She felt a sense of belonging, yet the undercurrent of their supernatural existence was ever present, adding an edge to her intrigue. Later, alone with Edward, Bella's curiosity about his family's history resurfaced. Edward promised to share more, asking only for her understanding. As they talked, Bella realized the depth of the Cullens' experiences and the strength of their bonds. She felt a profound connection to their world, a world she was now a part of. The evening's conversations revealed the complexities of their existence, weaving a tapestry of history and emotion that Bella was only beginning to understand. Edward, with a look of earnest vulnerability, shared stories of their past, not in detail, but in the emotions they evoked. Bella listened, her heart swelling with empathy and love for this family that was becoming her own. As the night came to an end, she knew her journey with the Cullens was just starting, a journey full of mystery and promise. Deadly threats. Bella sat in her family room, the tension palpable as Alice dialed the phone, orchestrating Bella's escape with Edward. "Alice, I don't want to leave," Bella murmured. "You have to, Bella. James is getting closer," Alice insisted with a worried glance. Bella understood the gravity of the situation and retreated to her room, her mind racing with the weight of recent events. Elsewhere, Edward navigated his jeep through the mountains, determined to protect Bella. Stopping at a scenic overlook, he said, "We need to talk." "What is it?" Bella asked, her eyes reflecting her concern. "We'll get through this together. We just need to stay ahead of James," Edward reassured her, his resolve clear. Their conversation was interrupted by a call from Alice, alerting them that James had tracked them to the airport. At the airport, under Alice and Jasper's watchful eyes, Bella discreetly placed an envelope on Alice's bag. Inside, a letter to Edward conveyed her heartfelt love and her plan to confront James alone to save her mother. She pleaded with Edward to understand her decision and to stay safe. As Edward's plane landed, Bella's desperation grew. She embraced him, whispering, "We have to leave now." Edward nodded, his protective instincts taking over as they navigated the airport with Jasper's empathic influence to soothe her. They reached the truck, and with Edward at the wheel, they vanished into the night. "We'll head north," Edward said, his voice a mix of determination and concern. "Alice and Jasper will mislead James, and then we'll take him by surprise." Bella's thoughts were tumultuous, yet Edward's presence was a calming force. "And Esme and Rosalie?" she inquired. "They're drawing the female west. If she doubles back, they'll protect your father," Edward assured her. Gratitude and worry mingled within Bella as she considered her father's safety and the Cullens' sacrifice. She gazed at Edward, his features softened by the dashboard's glow. "Thank you for everything," she breathed. Edward's hand found hers, a silent vow of protection. As they drove, Bella's heart was heavy with the choices she'd made, yet she found solace in their unity. The night was dark, and the road ahead uncertain, but together they would confront the perils that awaited them, their bond a beacon in the enveloping shadows. United against all odds. Bella stood by Edward's side, surrounded by the Cullens as they prepared to face the threat that had been looming over them. The tension in the air was palpable, but there was a sense of unity among them that Bella had never felt before. They were a family, bound not just by blood, but by the love and loyalty they shared for one another. Edward's gaze was intense, his focus never wavering from Bella. "We'll get through this together," he assured her, his voice a steady anchor in the storm of uncertainty. Bella nodded, drawing strength from his presence. She knew the dangers they faced, but she also knew that they were stronger together. As they strategized their next move, Bella couldn't help but marvel at the intricate plan the Cullens had devised. It was a dance of deception and misdirection, designed to outwit their adversary without direct confrontation. Each member of the family had a role to play, and Bella was amazed at their confidence and skill. The chapter closed with the Cullens moving into position, ready to protect their own at any cost. Bella felt a surge of determination as she stood with them, ready to face whatever came their way. It was a moment of clarity for her, a realization that no matter what form her future took, her happiness was here, with Edward and his family, united against all odds. Their eyes met, and in that brief exchange a silent promise was made, a vow of protection, of sacrifice, and an unyielding bond. As the night enveloped them, the Cullens stood ready, a formidable force against the darkness that threatened to engulf their world. Bella's resolve hardened. She was no longer just a bystander in this supernatural world, but an integral part of this extraordinary family. Together they would face the future, whatever it may hold, with courage and an unwavering commitment to each other.